Hey guys, my name is Amberly and this video is going to be about blackness and what it means to me to be Afro-Latina. First and foremost, I'd like to apologize to anyone that found this title offensive in any shape or form. I do this to commemorate Black History Month, but I missed Black History Month, so I'm just gonna talk about Afro-Latinidad. So my name is Amberly and I'm Dominican. I'm a first generation American from my mother's side and second generation American from my father's side. As a child, like any child, I was super inquisitive. I always asked questions, but majority of my questions to my elders or to my grandparents was about who my people were. I'm American. I was born in America, but I knew that I have family from elsewhere. So I always asked questions about my great-grandparents, my great-great-great-grandparents, and my ancestors because I was just curious. I felt like if I knew about my ancestors, perhaps I could know a little bit more about myself. And to my surprise, my grandparents would only tell me about my European side. From my mother's side, my grandmother would tell me, well, I'm half Spaniard. My father came from Spain. And from my father's side, my grandmother would tell me that we have a bloodline from Portugal. And I thought, that's great and all, but when I looked at myself in the mirror, I couldn't help but notice non-European features. So it wasn't until I started my undergrad education that I took an elective course that was called Brazilian Caribbean Experience, and little did I know that I was gonna learn so much of who my people were, and it helped me love myself. In the 18th century, slavery became rampant. It was almost universal. A key part to slavery was bringing African slaves to other countries, which was also known as the Atlantic slave trade. My country, Dominican Republic, like many other countries, became home to the African slaves. Now that right there brought to me an overwhelming feeling of wholeness. And I became proud, very proud of my ancestors. Every country the African people stepped on, they carried with them an overwhelming amount of cultural richness. They brought with them their music, their food, and their dancing. Unfortunately, a lot of Latin American countries like to neglect the influence the African people have made to their country. The sense of wholeness that I spoke about earlier, that I felt when I found out that I have African roots, came through my acceptance. I never accepted my hair, and as you guys can see, now I do. I never accepted my hair because it was curly and it wasn't straight. And hair is a very big deal in the Dominican Republic. Dominicans have mastered the art of straightening hair. Even though there are Dominican hairstylists that use perms, majority of them just use a blower and a brush, and your hair would be straight, like super straight. And I think it's pretty cool that you can have diversity. You can straighten your hair and curl your hair. It doesn't matter. However, when you begin to hate your features and make it a routine to go and look like something else, that says something powerful to me. That says to me that there is no self-acceptance. I, for the most part, rock my hair curly. I think it's absolutely beautiful. I love my texture. The second thing that I found the funniest was when my grandparents would tell me that I had a European family. I'm not white. So I would literally stare at myself and say, well, something is definitely wrong here. I don't look white. And I wanted to be lighter. I would look at myself and say, well, It's not fair. How come some of my cousins are lighter than me? Why is their hair straight and mine is curly? Why? But once I figured out my African roots, I became so comfortable under my skin. I absolutely love my skin complexion. On top of my skin complexion, I noticed a difference in my lips, my nose, and my hips. I knew there was so much more to the story. But the list goes beyond the physical. I love the traditional music of my country. Merengue, típico, los palos, salsa, bachata. I love the music. It's amazing. And you cannot deny the African influence. But last and not least, food. People that know me know that I love food. The Dominican food is just, Dominican food is amazing. And that's because of our African ancestors. Of course, there have been other influences. We've also had Asian influences, Middle Eastern influences, European influences, and even some indigenous influence. However, the majority of the influence is African. And I consider myself Afro-Latina. I am proud of my African features, of my African heritage. The reason why I even decided to make this video was because I've noticed that there is a lot of racism, a lot of self-hate going around in my country and in other Latin American countries and other countries that have African heritage, that have African roots. I want to help contribute to this awareness, this self-awareness that would only bring self-acceptance and self-love. So let's make Afro-Latinidad the topic. Let's learn, educate ourselves, and love our neighbors. So bloggers, vloggers, Instagrammers, Twitter people, or if you're just a person, period, let's talk about it. I know I missed Black History Month, but happy Black History Month. Stay blessed.